Hello and welcome back to the DoneDeal YouTube channel. My name's David OC and today we have got the Audi A3. However, this one is a plug-in hybrid, so it's going to be very interesting to see, is plug-in hybrid where we're at right now in 2021? Should you go full electric or should you maintain a diesel or a petrol engine? We'll find out in this video, but at a first glance, this particular one looks absolutely fantastic. It's finished in turbo blue, and in this review we're going to be discussing all of that and as well the price and of course some of our favourite and least favourite features. If you'd like to search for Audis for sale in Ireland from over 1,000 trusted dealers nationwide, hit the link up there and we'll get straight into the review. So let's begin with the design. Now on the front, I think this is my favourite angle, and it really reminds me of an Audi RS6, which is a very good thing. So first of all, you've got this step. Now this on, let's say, a performance version will aid cooling into the engine, but on this particular version, it's all for show. The grille looks really, really nice, particularly in black. These headlights, I love the way they dip down there. Looks really, really well. Then from the side profile, it looks a lot like its predecessor. It hasn't changed too much. I do like the way it's the sports back and you kind of get that third window all the way on the back. Then from the rear, it's got a really big spoiler. Actually, that one reminds me of an older RS4 Advanced spoiler. Tinted windows. Down here, we've got two fake exhausts, but it all adds to the kind of S-line, the sporty kind of model that it is. And of course, most importantly, sequential indicators. Absolutely love them. Whilst I have you there, we might as well have a look at the little boot. And I say the little boot because that's a key ingredient. You see, what's happened here is ordinarily the A3 has 380 litres, which is more than enough. However, under here now, there's absolutely nothing. And that's because the batteries are stored under there, reducing the boot by 100 litres. Now, to be fair and to be brutally honest, it probably doesn't matter. Functionality wise, you have everything you need. You've got shopping hooks, tie down points. The seats fold in 3 ways, so you can put any of the seats down on their own. And you've got a parcel shelf so you can hide things. So overall, functionality wise, it is quite good. And I do like this bag that actually hooks down and keeps in one spot, and that's for your charging cables so that they're not messy and around the boot. Really, really big fan of that. Comfort wise, it is pretty good in here. There's a nice soft cushion on these seats, so they are very, very comfortable. There's headrests that are adjustable. You can use them cool like that with your shoulder if you're like me, or you can go the old fashioned using your hands. But other than that, it's very bland back here, so there's no netting here to maybe put phones or kids' iPads or whatever else. You also have an armrest here, 2 drink holders, and there are isofix points which are extremely easily accessible. And I like how Audi have done away with the clip that you used to lose. Now it just slides up and down. Very, very sleek. So the interior. Now, when buying a car, this is one thing I definitely would never settle on, because although you might love the exterior of the car, the interior is where you're going to spend the vast majority of your time. So to begin with, the seats. Now these seats, they're like sporty bucket seats. They feel really, really comfortable. They're very adjustable. If you're tall, they've got leg extenders. They're a very, very good seat. Then the steering wheel. The steering wheel is insane. I think Audi always knock it out of the park. The flat bottom, it just feels very, very luxurious on your hands. I don't know how to describe it, but the steering wheel is lovely. Then storage. So if you've got kids and they've got loads of things, well, there's a big glove box, drink holders here, storage in there. There's a spot to put your phone there, which can also be wireless charging. There's door bins. It's great for storage. Then the infotainment system itself. So it's kind of divided up into effectively 3 places. So the climate control is separate from the main infotainment system. That is a big, big plus, because when you're driving along, rooting through here to try and turn on the heating or whatever can be a bit of a faff, so it's nice to have it separate. Then up here, you've got your main infotainment system. There's no bugs. It works seamlessly. It's really, really good. Obviously, Apple CarPlay. That is wireless, which is fantastic. It works, again, really smoothly. Then over here, you've got the digital display. Now this, it's well known, it's well documented. You can see it in many of our other videos. It is brilliant. You can customize it just the way you like it. Now, a couple key features here that stand out to me is, number one is there's a vent up here. I really like that. is something like the Seat Leon or the Cooper Leon, let's say, and the Golf. They actually don't have a heater that comes out to your chest or to your face, and it ends up just blowing on your knee the whole time. Another thing is this swivel dial for the volume. It's really, really handy, particularly for passengers. They can just quickly turn up and down the volume. And a third thing is these door handles. They are really, really premium. They're actually, I think, the same ones that are in the Skoda Enyaq, believe it or not. And overall, it's just a huge step up from its predecessor. The old one was a bit dull. It just had one big screen and there wasn't much going on. But here, you just feel like you're in something a little bit special. Now, engines. So before we go for a drive, let's quickly talk about the options. Now, there are a number of different versions available, everything from a 1 litre petrol to a 2 litre diesel and hybrids somewhere in there in the middle. So the entry level engine is a 110 horsepower 1 litre petrol turbocharged. It's actually a great little engine. I've driven it in a few Volkswagens. Then there's the 1.5 TSI petrol. Again, fantastic engine, 150 horsepower. It can be got with the manual gearbox or of course the S-tronic gearbox. Now I'd advise the S-tronic. It's a dual clutch system, it's seamless, it is brilliant. Then of course there's the 2 litre diesel. Now that's available with two different power outputs, the higher being 150 horsepower. And if you're getting an Audi, I think it's nearly worth getting the higher output, just because it's a bit of power, it's a bit of poke. Now the other thing that is available, or the other options, let's say, is the trim level. So there's the SE, there's the Attraction, and then there's the S line. Now this is personal preference, and I'm basically saying if I could choose, I would spend the extra 5,000 and get an S line, because I think Audis, particularly when they're S lines, they just look absolutely brilliant. And there's nothing like having an S line Audi. I just think whatever it is, a Q5, a Q7, an e-tron GT, whatever it is, the S line is the one to go for. So now this specific engine, well, this has a 1.4 TSI and it's paired with a 13 kilowatt hour battery, and together that makes a little over 200 horsepower. Now what's crucial is this is the same setup as the Octavia IV. It's also the same as the Cooper, which we had recently, which completely, I think, must be the biggest competitor to this. Similarly priced, similar drivetrain. It is very, very competitive. But yeah, as a whole, this engine, so that electric motor, if you were to drive it purely in EV mode, you're told you'll get about 60-65 kilometers. Now realistically, yesterday I had it fully charged and it was about 46-47 kilometers. But if you've got a really, really short commute, that could be perfect for you. And if you actually think about it, if you've got a short commute of 15 kilometers a day, you can do that purely on electricity. And then when you go on that staycation or you go down the country, you got that long commute or whatever it is, then you bang out the petrol engine and off you go. So it can be the best of both worlds, and that's the beauty of plug-in hybrids. So the engine side, what is the A3 like to drive? Well, I have to say it is fabulous. So the suspension setup, it really is smooth, and I think maybe that's where this is a little step above, let's say, the Golf or the Leon. It's really, really well dampened, so when you go over bumps, it does feel very, very smooth. And then if you do open up the throttle and put your foot down, because that blend of the electric motor and the petrol motor, you actually get quite a torquey takeoff, which is a really nice feeling. You've also got paddles here so you can select gears. It's got a 6-speed S-tronic gearbox, which again seamlessly changes gears, and it's very quick and very snappy. Driving modes easily accessible over here. You can just change it from dynamic to eco, or you can even put it in individual mode and set it up just how you like it. One really cool feature, and this works both for driving it enthusiastically and also around town, is it's got progressive steering. So what that does is, here when I turn it around a corner, it doesn't kind of react too much. However, it can go in a full lock in just one turn of the steering wheel, which means around town when you're parking in tight spots, you're not sickened and exhausted trying to turn the steering wheel, if that makes sense. So that's quite a nice feature. Another really cool feature is Audi Presense. So whilst that will effectively detect a crash in front of you and apply some emergency braking. It also reads the road ahead. So if there's a car in front of you and it starts to slow down, it will slow down as well. And it actually does it even with the cruise control not on. It also has lane assist. Again, the lane assist is actually quite unintrusive, which I quite like. There's nothing worse than a lane assist that thinks it's driving the car. Now at this point I should probably mention the price of an A3. So starting price is about 31,000 euros. Now the reality is you'll probably spec that up into the mid to high 30s to get that right spec. Then the plug-in hybrid costs a good bit more. In fact, it's north of 40,000 euros. So would you maybe spec it with a nice load of extras but not get the plug-in hybrid, or would you have a little bit toned down but get a plug-in hybrid? That's the big debate, I suppose. So yeah, as a whole, to drive, it's a very familiar place to be. The cabin in here is a little bit dark. That's probably with the black roof lining and the black leather. But it is a great car to drive, and I think when you get into any Audi, you know you're going to be happy. It's going to tick a lot of boxes from a driving point of view. Now at this point in every review, we discuss some of our favourite and least favourite features of the cars we're reviewing. And number one is, in the rain, effectively this pillar is further in than the door. And this happens in a lot of cars on this platform. So the Golf, the Leon, and effectively the water piles up here in the morning, and then when you drive with the window open, it all just splashes and soaks you in here. Next up is that some of the things that I would deem essential in a car like this are actually part of a comfort pack, which costs 1,200 euros. So front and rear parking sensors, reversing camera, heated seats. However, part of that comfort pack, you get park assist, and that is absolutely brilliant. Number three is that the electric motor, well, actually that takes about 4 hours to charge it up at home, which is quite long. Now it's fine overnight. However, I actually figured out a genius tactic to avoid that 4 hours. So, being a hybrid, the combustion engine will actually charge up the batteries. So last night I went on a 140 kilometer drive. I was doing the drive anyway, but I did 140 kilometers, and when I arrived at home to my destination, it was fully charged. And 140 kilometers only takes about 1 hour and 10 minutes. So that's much, much faster than a wall charger. Now, one of my favorite features on the Audi A3 is this button here. So basically that button can mean what you like. So for example, you can have it switch between the radio and the media, traffic announcements on or off. This is a customizable button. Really, really think that's cool. And number three is when you get the plug-in hybrid version, the road tax is only 140 euro per annum. So there you go. As a whole, the A3, whether it's a hybrid, a petrol, a diesel, even an S3 or an RS3, it's a great car. You know what you're going to get with it, and sometimes that is just a nice thing. Now, if you'd like to search for Audis for sale in Ireland, make sure to hit the link up there. We've got over 1,000 trusted dealers, so it's definitely worth checking out. And maybe going for a test drive, as you may really like it. But it leaves us with that question of, would you go for the plug-in hybrid? Would you maybe get a diesel? And personally, if it was me and I was going out to buy it, to save the little bit of money, I'd maybe consider getting just the 1.5 TSI, and then instead of maybe having that hybrid option, I'd put my money into the spec, get the S-Line, maybe get a panoramic sunroof for about 1,200 euros. A few little bells and whistles. That would be what I would do, but let us know in the comments, what would you do? Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have enjoyed the review, please give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, and of course, subscribe.